Hey everyone, Bo here with Beauviarts, and today I had an aspiring artist message me and ask, I'm going from traditional art to digital art, and I'm a little overwhelmed because Photoshop has a lot of options, and I just want to know the basics so I can start doing some cool stuff. So today I thought it would be a good idea to walk through what I use on a daily basis, and I've really kind of narrowed down all these tools that look really overwhelming sometimes and all this junk over here, and I've narrowed it down to just a couple of fundamentals, and I want to talk about those today so you can end up painting something cool like this. This piece was done with one brush and one brush only, okay? And that's kind of something about Photoshop. You go to your brushes up here and you look, and of course I have a lot more brushes than everybody because I download packs and there's a lot of junk in here that you don't need, but I use two, maybe three brushes, but most of the time I'll paint something like this. This took about 60 minutes, and I'll paint it with one brush. And it's a very good challenging exercise. It kind of feels like how they would do oil paints in the old days. So I'm going to show you after, a lot of practice how you can really progress your skills to Photoshop to eventually do something cool like this, okay? So first let's get your canvas. So we're going to go to File, New, and you want to pick a canvas size that is big, and I'll tell you why here in a second. So I do 2500 by 1080 pixels, and you get a very large canvas, okay? Now you can click on this little square over here. It's a crop tool, which is also the button C on your keyboard. That's a shortcut for it. And you can shrink it down, and you can do this at any point in time during your art piece. So if you start drawing and you realize this is way too much room, you can hit C or click on this and shrink this thing down. I kind of equate it to ordering a hamburger at a restaurant. I order like the double patty cheeseburger every time because even if I don't eat the whole thing, which I probably will, I'd rather have more hamburger than not enough. You know what I mean? So that's the same way I think about canvas. I'd rather give myself plenty of room to work with. All right. So that should work for now, right? And the second thing we want to look at is not using white, and I'll tell you why. So we're talking about values here. Value is the range between dark and light, okay? So light being white, dark being black. This is going to be 0% is white, 100% is black. And you never want to work with really just 0% or 100% unless, I'll tell you why. White is reserved for the hottest light source. Black is reserved for areas where light is unable to reach completely, okay? So when you look at value studies like the old fruit basket study that's shaded gray, the banana and the orange and all that stuff in a bowl, it's all shaded gray. You never really see everything truly white or truly black. So you want to start with your canvas kind of in a light gray, maybe around like 25%, okay? And we want to come to our paint bucket, and I do this on every drawing to start out. And I paint the background gray. And this gives me room to really understand where I'm at value-wise when I start painting, because a lot of times I paint in grayscale. Okay? So the next thing you want to do is, you notice over here that a new option is available. We have a background now. These are our layers, okay? So we don't want to draw on the background because when we go to erase with our eraser, right here, or you can click E as an eraser, it's going to erase that color that we just laid on there, okay? So we want to undo that. Control Z is undo, by the way, or you can go to, I think, I don't even know. Oh, it's right here, Control Z, or you can do Edit, Redo, Eraser if you mess up, which you'll be needing that a lot. So we want to open a new layer because we don't want to draw directly on the background because we'll erase our color, right? So let's go to Layer, New, Layer, or you can do Shift Control N. If I'm going too fast, just pause and rewind the video. Now we have a new layer, okay? And really we're kind of staring at, from here, this is where I work. This is my comfort zone, and it has really worked well for me. Just using very minimal layers. You can add as many layers as your computer can handle, or you can hit delete to get rid of them, okay? So here's our brushes over here. And as I've said a million times, it's really easy to get overwhelmed by brushes. This is one of the biggest things that I see people kind of stumble over when they start Photoshop, okay? So I have a ton of brushes and it's from different packs, things like that, but I use one or two brushes, okay? And the biggest thing is finding a good hard edge brush. Let me get a good color here. You want a good brush that has a nice hard edge, and when I say hard edge, I mean that it's not blurry. It has definition to it. It has a good outline. And the reason being is because if you start using a soft edge brush like this, let's say we're trying to draw like a human being, a stick figure here, it looks really blurry. It looks like I have really poor eyesight, right? So this is the reason why I use a hard edge brush for everything. Now, one thing you'll notice is, okay, I don't need it that dark all the time, and I don't want to come over here and wrestle with all the colors. So what I do is I adjust my opacity. Okay, so opacity is basically how much clarity the color is going to have. So if we come down here to our dark color, and I put it down to like a 58% opacity, you can tell that it's not as dark as the color we chose, right? It's basically how much paint is going on the canvas, or how transparent it is, rather, okay? So you can also hit your number keys and check out our opacity. I'm hitting 1, 2, 3, and it's changing our opacity. So that's kind of how I start drawing. I kind of mess around with like a 70% opacity, and as you draw, you kind of notice that some really cool textures are happening. And really that just comes with practice. I'm practicing opacity. And I would really recommend starting out with grayscale. So go and look up like black and white images, or if you have an image like this and you're like, hey, that's something I want to try to copy, go to your image, adjustments, and then select black and white, and you can make the image black and white. So I would really recommend starting out in grayscale if you're really new to drawing and you want to get better at it. Start with grayscale because as I've said before, something about art is, we draw something in 2D, right? As an artist. Well, by adding value and a range of value, that's what makes the object look three-dimensional. And that's our job as an artist, is to pull the viewer away from it being just an art piece and really immerse them in the art itself. So by studying grayscale and value, that's going to be one of the best things you can do for your artwork. I would highly recommend starting out there and then move on to color. I'm not saying that you can't use color right away, but you're going to get a lot further going with grayscale and studying that first and then applying, because in the next video I can show you like all the different, I clicked on the layer option here. There's a bunch of different layer options that you can use to go back and color the grayscale artwork. So start right there. That's going to be a really good starting point for you guys that are just now opening Photoshop. And I promise you, this is basically what I use. I use one layer usually, and I color everything. This is it. This is the piece. I colored everything on this one on the background. I just went straight for it, just like it was a canvas. So don't let this complicate things. There's a bunch of tools that really you won't need to know right away. Just worry about mastering the default brushes. Find you a good hard edge brush, like I showed you over here, and proceed with that. So you have brush, eraser, your color picker over here, which you should just stay in this range over here, and get you a nice layer to work on, and you should be good to go. Okay? If you have any questions, comment on this video and let me know how this video helped you, okay? And please show me your artwork, message me your artwork, and I hope this genuinely helped you guys that are starting Photoshop. So subscribe and like the video. We will see you next time. Thank you very much. And I'm trying to end this video